profit is what will truly build you freedom. The strongest businesses are profitable enough to reinvest because they have margins. They are not operating at the survival level, and they are not just busy for the sake of being busy. Profit gives you options. Hello, and welcome back to another episode on the Beauty Industry Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Sammy Kennedy. Today, I want to talk about something that does not get enough airtime. It's not hacks, it's not trends, and it's not the latest strategy someone saw on TikTok. I want to talk to you about what actually makes a business successful for the long term. And the reason why I believe I have the authority to speak on this is because I have lived and breathed business from the age of 5. So if you don't know my story, over the last 18 years, my family and I have had 8 different businesses. From arcade games hire, we've had 2 shop fit outs, one in Albany and one in Westfield Carousel in Perth for SimWorld, which was these racing car games on simulators. We've also had a bowling alley for 12 years. We then also ran a go-karting business for 4 years. We've had 2 drive-in cinemas. We've run 6 rodeos, a music festival, and then our latest business venture, which has been Wild West Bowling. Now, over those 18 years, we struggled. We honestly were in financial hardship the whole time. There wasn't a time where we ever felt like we were getting ahead. And with Australians experiencing a cost of living crisis, I can tell you I don't feel anything different because that has been my entire life. And outside of family business, I've also had my own beauty salon. So I worked from home and then I had a commercial space. I ran the Beauty and Brains / Mrs. Australia International Beauty Pageant at the Hilton in Sydney. I've had my own personal brand, which then turned into Beauty Industry Leaders, where I do coaching and consulting. I now have the podcast and, more excitingly, the podcast studio, which will become available for rent and things like that. And then outside of that, I've done modeling. I put protective film on luxury watches. I've done social media marketing. There's so many different things in my life that I've experienced and I've gained knowledge, skills, and expertise in. And what I'm starting to realize is that all these different industries, all these different business models, there's some that work really, really well. And there's some that, what my dad calls, are like polishing a turd. And so it doesn't matter how much you try polish a turd, it will still always be a turd. And that's what I wanted today's episode to be about. What are the 3 core traits of these businesses that survive and scale? Not 25 traits, not complicated systems, but just 3. And so if your business has these 3 things, you're going to be in a much stronger position than 95% of businesses in the current market. And if it doesn't, you're building on shaky foundations. So let's get into it. The first trait that I believe a successful business needs to have is a product or service that brings in consistent, repeatable customers. This is number 1 for a reason. Successful businesses are not built on one-off transactions. They are built on repeat behavior. You don't want a business that's constantly needing new customers just to survive. That's exhausting, that's expensive, and it's also very unpredictable. You want a business where people come back. So think about it. Skin clinics that run treatment plans, lash artists with 2 to 3 week refills, brow artists with the maintenance cycles, education businesses with ongoing mentorship, entertainment venues with leagues, events, repeat bookings. Repeat customers reduce your marketing pressure. So if you're looking at a one-time service, you're going to either need a massive audience, a massive amount getting poured into ad spend, or a really damn good referral system. Having repeat customers will increase your lifetime value. They'll naturally create those referral pathways for you and build stability within your business. If your business relies purely on one-off purchases, you are constantly in hunt mode, and hunt mode leads to burnout. So I want you to ask yourself, do my customers have a reason to come back? Is my service designed for longevity and not just a single hit? Because if you look at most successful businesses, they will engineer that repeat behavior intentionally. So I'll give you an example of this. Statistics have shown that the average amount of times a person will visit a bowling alley in a 12-month period is 1.5. And so let's call that one time, right? Because we can't really have half a time. One times, let's say the average spend is $70. That's $70 per year. But if we could even get that person coming in once, let's say they're a mum and they want to take their kids during school holidays, if we could get them to come in once per school holidays, there's 4 school holidays, all of a sudden that customer has gone from being worth $70 to being worth $280. Now, if you times that by, let's say, 2,000 customers, they're all coming in once a year at $70. That's $14,000 in the business. But those same 70 customers returning every single school holidays, that brings $19,600 into the business. And so this is why you want to look at your current clientele. Are you building a business that just burns and churns through customers, or is what you're building repeatable, scalable, and sustainable? Now, believe it or not, when you even look at the luxury market, that is a business of repeat customers because you get assigned to one sales agent and they will look after you. They will get to know you. They understand what you like. You get put on a wait list and then they'll start to drip feed you other products. There's a whole psychology behind it, the way they sell to you, the way that they make you wait in the waiting room and they let you look around, or they tell you that there's a wait list, it's out of stock, it's high in demand, and then they make you wait for 2 years. Rolex do exactly this. So to go to Rolex, you get put on a wait list and it's called an expression of interest. You let them know, hey, I'm interested in buying this watch. And they'll say, oh, unfortunately, it's not available. Or that model's very popular, but most people can't buy it. And so what do? They try to sell you some of the shit watches that they don't really have as high in demand. And so you go on this wait list. They then tell you a watch has become available and it's not usually the one you want. But then they make you buy a bundle. So if you buy 2 to 3 of the watches, you've spent over maybe 100 to 150 grand, then you can finally get the popular model that everyone wants that's in demand. And so they are trying to create repeat business through you because they're getting you to buy something else before they allow you to buy the thing that you actually want. So there's so many different business models that use this, and they just tweak it in different ways so that it adapts to their industry. Now, if you've ever sat and watched Shark Tank, especially because they focus primarily on product-based businesses, you can see that there's certain pieces of information that the sharks want to know. And one of them is, how often is this customer purchasing this product? Now, Davey Fogarty with the Oodie did something very clever because you know what an Oodie is, right? How many times are you going to buy an Oodie? Realistically, you probably buy one and it lasts you 3 to 5 years. Why would you buy another one? So in order to increase the amount of times that someone would purchase, he then made deals with people like Warner Brothers. He got rights to Harry Potter, he got rights to the AFL, and he brought out limited editions. So if you do have a one-time product, then you have to become really creative at finding different ways to create exclusive drops, which then you're doing a completely different business model, and that can become stressful because you're always having to come up with new ideas. But if you've got one key product, someone's repeat purchasing it, or one key service over and over again, you don't have to spend as much money in R&D. You don't have to spend as much money in training, and you can actually really focus on optimizing the client journey, the results that you're producing, and also your profit margins within your business. Now, this leads me into my second trait, which is profitability over popularity. Now, this is where most businesses get it wrong because revenue always looks sexy, right? But profit is what will truly build you freedom. The strongest businesses are profitable enough to reinvest because they have margins. They are not operating at the survival level. And they are not just busy for the sake of being busy. Profit gives you options. You can invest in better marketing. You can hire support. You can also retain staff because you can pay them more than minimum wage. You can improve systems. You can build better branding. You can survive slower months and you can expand. Without having any margin in your business, you become completely trapped. And here's something else that I've learned. The businesses that scale the best are not stuck in purely one-on-one delivery. They move toward one-to-many models where possible. So that could mean group programs, digital products, memberships, events, courses, scalable service models, and systems that reduce your time per client. And this is a really hard pill to swallow because most people in beauty are doing one-to-one services, but one-to-one will cap you. One-to-many creates leverage, and leverage is what creates true growth. So the question is not always, how do I get more clients? But the question should be, how do I build a model that allows me to grow without working 18-hour days? Now, with beauty services, once you're fully booked, you're fully booked. There's nowhere else to go. From that point, if you are fully booked, you either hire another person, which then means you need to train them, they need to have more bookings, and then you better hope that they don't get sick, they don't fall pregnant, or they don't go and start their own business because you've invested everything into them. Or you go into another revenue stream, which is what a lot of people naturally do as they evolve through the industry. So they'll usually get into training, education, they'll create a product, and that's because they are more scalable. When you look at how much money is in the beauty industry, now that I've seen the different types of business models, I would say products are probably the most scalable and successful in the industry because you're supplying to so many different people who are then selling products for you. You have that one-to-many aspect of a business. But when you're selling one-to-one, your time is capped. Once you're fully booked, there's nowhere else you can go. And so when you're looking at other people who are pivoting and adapting their business models, it's because they've found this out. It's because they've realized that once I am fully booked with all these clients, my revenue is capped. Maybe you could sell some more products that might add a bit more, but then after you've sold the products to those people that need them, where do you go from there? And so the one-to-many is what is helping businesses in this industry scale and be more profitable. Now, the third trait of a successful business is knowing that it can stand the test of time. This one is huge. Successful businesses are not built on trends. They are built on fundamentals. I'm going to say that one more time so it really lands for you. Successful businesses are not built on trends. They are built on fundamentals. Trends can spike revenue. Like, when you see a brand and they post something on TikTok, they go viral, they get all these sales, and then 2 years later, what happened to that brand? It doesn't exist anymore. Foundations will always build empires because at the end of the day, if something is foundational, if there is a necessity to it and it's not just a luxury or a trend, it can stand the test of time. If your business only works because of a viral sound, a trending treatment, a hype cycle, a temporary aesthetic, or a short-term algorithm boost, then your growth will be really fragile. If something scales exponentially fast, is usually a sign that it can also fail as exponentially fast. If your business is built on solving a real problem, delivering consistent quality, a strong customer experience, clear positioning, and sustainable demand, you are far more protected. And I've seen businesses, especially the ones that we had growing up, they collapsed because they built everything around what was hot at the time. So an example of this is arcade games. They used to be very popular. We would put them into different pubs, and we also had jukeboxes too and pool tables. And then slowly they kind of got phased out. It was like a video killed the radio star situation where there's PS4s and there's Xboxes. Now, back before Spotify, MTV was our biggest competitor because paying for a jukebox, why would you pay for a jukebox? You have to pay money, right? But then if you just have MTV streaming, there's music there, it's free. Now they wouldn't even do MTV. It would just be Spotify. But this is one of those things where you realize this is going to be a trend that's going to die out one day and something new is going to replace it. And if you don't pivot and adapt with the times that are changing, your business can become irrelevant or made redundant, essentially. Now, I've seen businesses quietly dominate for decades because they have also focused on timeless value. Now, for us, Wild West Bowling was something that was able to stand the test of time. So we ran it for 12 years prior to going all in on Wild West Bowling. We had bought an old bowling alley, which was Albany 10-pin bowl, and ran that for 12 years prior to us going all in on Wild West Bowling. And the crazy thing is, When you look at the financials over the last 30, 40 years of Albany 10-pin bowl, it was relatively very consistent. Like it was clearing at least 200 to 250K a year. Now at the new bowling alley, we've done 2.1 mil in 12 months. And I think that is also a reflection of the investments we made into our equipment, our client experience, the type of alcohol, food, not just bowling. Like there's just so much to experience in there because we had the years of exposure to different clientele, different needs, wants. We'd been able to see what food sold, what didn't. We were able to see what people really wanted. Like BYO was a huge issue for us. So we knew we had to get a liquor license. Like just being able to see a business that was able to survive long term, it gave us the reassurance that going all in on it was actually going to be the right decision. And so if you're looking at building a business, you want to ask yourself, if the algorithm disappeared tomorrow, would my business survive? Is there a genuine need for it? If a trend died overnight, would people still need what I offer? If the answer is no, you don't need more content, you need stronger foundations. And so looking at businesses that are lasting for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, what do those businesses look like? A lot of the time, they're actually really boring. Lawn mowing, cleaning, electricians, plumbers, hairdressers, they're all businesses that AI, robots, they're not going to be able to replace anytime soon. So trades are going to be hot in demand. And I guess another thing is for me, like coaching, consulting, is that going to be taken over? Is podcasting going to be taken over by AI? Probably, who knows? So if you know that that might be a threat, how are you either leveraging it to your advantage so that you are cutting edge in your industry? How are you pivoting completely so that no longer becomes a threat for you? So let's recap. If we're looking at the top 3 traits of successful businesses, number 1, you want a product or a service that creates repeat customers. Number 2, strong profit margins with leverage, not just one-on-one time exchange, but if you can bring that one-to-many component in, it's going to be a lot more scalable and profitable for you. Number 3, a business model that can stand the test of time. Do some market research and figure out which industries, which business models are actually able to survive past that typical 10-year cycle that most businesses will have their peak period and then they'll drop off and slowly be made redundant. If you build around those 3 things, everything else will become easier for you. Marketing will become easier, hiring will become easier, growth becomes easier, and scaling will become clearer. You're not just going to be building noise, you're going to be building with structure. And here's what I am going to leave you with. I want you to stop asking yourself, what's the fastest way to grow? And I want you to start asking, is what I'm building sustainable, profitable, and repeatable? That is the game. That's what lasts. And that's what separates businesses that spike from businesses that scale. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone building something long-term, not just chasing the next trend. And if you want help building a business model that ticks all 3 of these boxes, you know where to find me. I'll see you in the next episode.
Audience exclusive.